Do it like this. Oh, hey. Welcome to the Good Fight. Thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely. We are excited for you to be here. And I'm saying we because T is in the house somewhere. She's probably not going to come out and she does not need to, but that's why I say we, because she's always included in everything that I do. All of my thoughts and concerns include her. Absolutely. I want to say thank you for joining us for the Good Fight. If this is your first time joining us, because my mama keep inviting folks, I said, T, I'm not sure you want to invite the people that you invite. But I welcome you to this space where we are here to talk about how to make sure that we can live into a faith that is deconstructed, a faith that is not guided by principles of systems of power, of domination, of oppression and control, but that we just want to be in a pure and raw relationship with whoever we say is our God. And it does not matter to me who that is. This conversation is always rooted in a Christian context, only because I grew up Christian, right? Like if I were Buddhist, I would be having this conversation from that context. So it's not about I'm not proselytizing for Jesus in any way. I just want to make sure that that whatever you believe, in whomever you believe, it is for the good of humanity. And so in saying that, you are welcome in this space, in the spirit of Sawubona, that spirit of oneness that binds us together. And that oneness is rooted and sourced in our humanity. And so in the spirit of oneness, we are here in this space to talk about how we can interact better as humans, as faithful humans, because for those of us who profess to be faithful, it is a very important part of our lives. Like we say that it guides everything that we do. And so how do we interact better with our faith so that our faith shows up so our faith shows up in our body before it comes out of our mouths. Like, so we don't have to say I'm a Christian. We don't have to say I go to church. We don't have to say I read the Bible. We don't have to do any of those things. Because the way that we roll, the way that we live, the way that we talk, the way that the energy that you feel when you are in spaces with us, that will speak volumes in ways that we don't have to. Because I think Dr. Anika Whitfield said this on Friday. I don't remember what the question was. It was a panel discussion. I'm not sure what the question was, but she was saying that it is her prayer. I'm paraphrasing. It is her prayer, her hope in her prayer that she's living a sermon, right? Like you, I don't have to say it. I can just be it, right? And so that's the goal. Absolutely. That's the goal, that your faith will be demonstrated in the way that you live your life. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we're coming from this about, I know it seems odd, but it comes from me having a conversation with myself at church on Sunday about, well, actually, I was having the conversation with myself before Sunday, but Sunday was when I had a moment, right? Like, so I'll be thinking about something and then it actually like manifests, my thoughts manifest in a very material way later on. And I call it serendipity, but later on. And so I had been thinking about capitalization because I had already been thinking about this conversation, but then something happened in church that made me say, wait, what now? And so I want to talk about that. And so the title of tonight's session is Holy Capitalization. Like, it's got two question marks because it's like what? Like, what are we saying right now? And so I shouldn't say it like that. I was about to say I met Bell Hooks, but I did not meet Bell Hooks. I was introduced to Bell Hooks's works, her writings. I want to say when I was in seminary. I want to say that, but I was asleep. I was anesthetized. I mean, I was in a deep. I had been taking some of them good drugs, and so I really wasn't. I didn't know anything about being a womanist. I didn't know anything about Black liberation theology. I didn't know anything about liberation theology. I didn't know about women. I didn't know about any of those things. I really don't think I knew I was Black, to be honest with you, because the way I grew up, always in white space, always just like race never coming up. No one in my house talking about what it means to be Black. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I thought. I really don't know. But I was not that one that was rooted in, I wasn't who I am now. Let me just say it like that. I wasn't who I am now. So I didn't spend a lot of time with bell hooks. And I still have not read all of the books by her that I need to read, because I want to read every one of them. And I still have not done that. But one of the things that did intrigue me about her is her use of lowercase letters when she writes her name. And the way I interpreted that, because I did not have a conversation with her, but the way I interpreted that was that she was, that I wanted to do the same thing, because I am of the mind that none of us is greater than the other. And so when we use capital letters, it's as if we are suggesting that the person who has the capital letter is more important somehow, more significant somehow, more meaningful to us in some way, because we use the capital letter. And I'm just like, what? I don't know. Like, where did that come from? Like, how did we get there that we would say that because you have, because you are in this position, or because you hold this title, you deserve a capital letter, whereas other people do not? And I especially thought about it because I was a teacher. I was a public school teacher for 10 years. And I remember one day, just, I don't know where I was, but I just remember thinking that I saw the word president in reference to the president of the United States. And I saw that word capitalized. The word president was capitalized. And then somewhere in the same sentence was the word teacher, but the word teacher was not capitalized. And so I just started to think about that. I said, so wait a minute, help me understand. If you are the president of the United States, and that means that you are important, that your job is important, how did you get here? Could you have become the president of the United States without having at least one teacher? Now, of course, in the world in which we live that really believes in organized education and formal education, by the time you get to be president of the United States, you will have had several teachers. And so for them to say, well, we're going to capitalize president, but we're not going to capitalize teacher, I just thought, what are we doing here? And so when I met Bell Hooks and she was not using capital letters, I decided I wasn't going to use them either. I'm going to be just like her. I'm not going to capitalize my name. But since I was not in relationship with her, I didn't capitalize. I didn't want to use capital letters, period. And so I remember I had this job where I wasn't using capital letters, and I was writing correspondence to senators and just to everybody, because I was doing work in the political realm. I was doing some community organizing, and I was not using capital letters. And so the boss that I talked to the boss. I was like, look, this is very important to me. It is a message that I am sending about how we are all one. It's a message of unity. It's a message of oneness. And I don't want to capitalize anybody. That particular boss said, okay. The new boss came in and said, if you don't make this stuff professional, you have better. And so I was renting a house over here on Louisiana. And the landlord that I had at the time, we had a conversation too, because I was signing my name on the contract to get the house. I was signing my name, and I signed my name with a lowercase letter, because that's what I do now. And she asked me about it. She said, I talked about unity, and she thought it was beautiful. Then she said, but do you do that for other people's names? And I stopped for a moment, and that's all she asked me. And I thought, I think she's sending me a message here. Like, I think she's saying, well, this is how I received it. Well, if that's what you want to do to your name, that's fine. But for you to decide that another person's name should not be capitalized, and I don't think that's fair. And I thought about that for a while, and I was just like, I don't know, maybe there's some merit to that. So I just really stopped kind of thinking about, sometimes I would capitalize my name, sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes even now you'll see the titles are capitalized, but the name is not. And I did it on purpose for tonight. Well, I do it on purpose all the time, but for tonight, I felt like it was a very important part of this conversation. Like, so Denise, why is Reverend Doctor capitalized and Denise is not? Yes, why is it? Why do we think that if we're going to talk about a person being a reverend, that we need to capitalize that title? If we say that a person is a doctor, why do we need to capitalize that title? And yet we still do not capitalize the title of teacher. And I don't think we capitalize the title of writer. Like, that's not the usual practice that I see when I am reading. And so that's what got me going, just on this journey towards, let's talk about what capitalization means, and let's see if we can answer the question of, is our use of capital letters, is it holy? Is the way that we use it, is that holy, or are we sending the message to the community, to the people of the world, that only these people deserve this kind of honor and reverence to their titles? Yeah, everybody, we'll capitalize everybody's name, your birth name, your government name, your chosen name. But when it comes to titles, no. Even my mama, yeah, let me tell you what my mama said the other day. I can't remember which doctor. We were talking about doctors, and we were talking about medical doctors. I think we were talking about Tony, my co-host, and I'm his co-host. I think we were talking about his wife, and she's a doctor of medicine. And my mama perked up, like, she's a doctor of medicine. I said, yeah, I'm a doctor too. And she said, no, but you're not a real doctor. I said, excuse me? She said, you're not a real doctor. I said, so what are you saying? So if you're a medical doctor, you're a real doctor, but the rest of us, we not real doctors? And she said, no. I said, then why aren't we real doctors? She said, because, they take care of people. They help people. They heal people. And I just looked at her. I said, are you kidding me right now? Like, is this a joke? Like, do you really feel like this? And she was like, yeah. Like, she was serious. And so I was like, what? I was not in a position to have the conversation with her in that moment. I was just like, I believe, ooh, what's happening? Sorry, y'all. Let me see what's going on. I could not believe that my own mama was telling me that I'm a fake doctor, because my doctorate is in, I'm a doctor of philosophy, education administration and supervision. And she just thinks that that's not as important. And so I've been thinking about this for a while. So here I am in church on Sunday. I'm in church on Sunday, and Nikki is preaching. And I'm trying to take notes on my phone. And because I'm taking notes on my phone, I am, can y'all see that? Am I in y'all's way? Hold on. If y'all can see that, hold on just a minute. Let me, I need to do this really quickly. I'm taking notes on my phone while Nikki is preaching. And I'm taking notes on my phone while Nikki is preaching. And I'm trying to, she's talking, and I'm trying to capture everything that she's saying. She's saying something about God. She's talking about a process, talking about that the journey with God is a process. And I'm trying to, and then she says something else, and she's right behind how a person is talking. So she's talking right behind, she's just going, she's flowing. And so I'm trying to keep up with it. And so I do not take the time to capitalize God, because I don't have predictive capitalization on my phone. I capitalize when I want to, because most of the time I don't want to use a capital letter. And so I don't have it on my phone. And so when she said it, when she was saying I was trying to type, I didn't have time to capitalize the word God. And so I didn't. And I just wrote God and I kept going. But then I actually zoned out of the sermon for a minute, because I could not concentrate, because I was telling myself, and I was asking myself, how are you going to leave this word God uncapitalized? Like, you need to go back and capitalize this word. Like, how are you going to not capitalize God? And so I'm actually struggling with myself, because the other part of me was like, first of all, I'm just taking notes that are for me. Like, does it really matter? And secondly, if I don't capitalize, like, what does that mean? Am I going to go to hell if I don't capitalize God? Who said we had to capitalize God? Is it written down in the Bible? Is it one of the 10 commandments? What is it with you, Denise? You cannot even focus in church on the sermon because you arguing with yourself about whether or not the word God should be capitalized. So I was like, Oh my goodness. So because I also have OCD, it really is a struggle for me to go against what my body is saying to do because of order. Things have to be in order. I'm a linear thinking. I understand that this is first, this is second, this is third. This person is the manager, this person is the assistant manager. Like that's just how I'm wired. And so it was really a struggle for me to not capitalize God and to force myself to leave it uncapitalized because of all of what I was thinking in my head about irreverence and about being wrong and about not being proper. And so I do suffer from respectability politics as well. And I said, I really think that this is an issue, not just for me, but for the world, especially since I keep talking about how we capitalize the word president of the United States. And we are now in the midst of the campaign, right? So we are going to vote on president of the United States in November, and we're having to make a decision. And so this word president that we think is so important that it has to have a capital letter, even though the word teacher does not have to have a capital letter, even though the president could not be the president without the teacher. Somehow the president's role is more important than a teacher's role. Like, how are we deciding these things? And then who do we and so if we say that the word president is something that we really want to make sure that we capitalize because it is so important to us, then if that is the case, then whoever feels that role must be worthy of that capital letter. And so how does a person who is human, how do they become worthy enough for us to say, you are now esteemed enough in your title for us to deserve a capital letter? We now honor you in such a way that we wouldn't dare write this title without having it capitalized, because we don't want to be wrong. We don't want to be viewed as being politically incorrect, because we want to make sure that people know that we have a proper understanding of the way things are supposed to be done, and I'm supposed to capitalize this letter. And so that's what brought me to James, and that's where we're going today with James chapter 2, because it is really important who James is to us on tonight. James can be a whole lot of people, but who he is to us tonight. Oh my goodness, y'all! I'm having some technical difficulties. Say it again. So here's Miss Norwedo saying it was a lesson well learned. Talking about learning capital letters. Is that what you're talking about? Let me see. Y'all forgive me. Please forgive me. Because this is giving me the... Yes. She said yes. I bet you feel the same way about cursive writing. Because now you don't have to learn it. I've been thinking about that too. How is